The last thing I smelled before I died was her perfume on someone else's skin. Cedar and amber. That was Dominique Hale's scent signature. I had pressed my face into the curve of her neck 1,000 times and breathed it in like oxygen. I had built a life around that smell the way a house is built around its foundation, invisibly, completely, with the unconscious certainty that it would always be there. I died on the floor of our apartment. Not dramatically. There was no violence, no grand catastrophe. My body simply gave out. Omega constitution failure, the physicians called it in the clinical notes I was never supposed to read. Prolonged exposure to suppression compounds. Side effects I had been told were minimal, necessary, a minor inconvenience to manage my designation in our shared professional environment. Dominique was a corporate alpha, the senior partner at Hale & Associates. An Omega mate with active scent cycles would have been, as her assistant had once phrased it within my earshot, professionally inconvenient. I had taken the pills every day for 3 years without complaint. I had wanted to be convenient. I had wanted to fit into Dominique's life so seamlessly that she would forget I required any accommodation at all. The complication I had not known about, because no one had told me, because Dominique's personal physician had been instructed to manage my health rather than inform me of it, was that the suppression compound had a cumulative toxicity threshold in omega metabolisms. I had crossed that threshold quietly in month 31. By month 36 I was dead on the kitchen floor at 31 years old. And Dominique was in the next room on the phone discussing a property acquisition. I could hear her voice before I lost consciousness. And woven through it, faint but unmistakable to an Omega's evolved senses, was the cedar and amber of her own scent on a warmth that was not my skin. She had been with someone. She had come home from being with someone and walked past my prone body on the kitchen floor and picked up her phone. I had wanted to feel shock. But I couldn't. And I understood, in the last thin ribbon of consciousness I had left, that the absence of shock was its own terrible revelation. Some part of me had known for a long time and had simply refused to look directly at it. I let the dark take me. Then I opened my eyes in our apartment, 3 years earlier, on the morning Dominique had first presented me with the small white bottle of suppression pills. I did not touch the pills. I watched Dominique set them on the bathroom counter with that particular gesture of hers, brisk and executive, like placing a memo in an inbox, and I stood in the doorway in the amber morning light and I felt the full weight of 3 additional years of knowledge pressing down on me. The physician says starting on these this week will have you fully regulated before the Callaway Summit, Dominique said, already checking her phone. She was in her charcoal suit, immaculate, every inch the commanding alpha the business world had built her to be. I'm not taking them, I said. Dominique looked up from her phone. The summit is a significant professional event, Zara. Your scent cycles during a high-stress gathering would be inconvenient, I finished. I know. I've heard. I'm still not taking them. She set her phone down. Fully looked at me. Is something wrong? Everything, I thought. And also, finally, nothing. I'm leaving, I said quietly. I'm going to pack what's mine and I'm going to go. I need you not to make that harder than it has to be. The silence that followed was not the silence of a woman devastated. It was the silence of a woman recalculating. I watched the math move behind her eyes and I felt nothing break inside me. All the breaking had already been done in a life she would never remember. You're serious, she said. I have never been more serious about anything. She nodded once. I'll have my assistant transfer the account funds we set up in your name. Take whatever time you need. It was not a love story ending. It was a business transaction ending. Which was, I understood now, exactly what our relationship had always been. I was the only one who hadn't known it. I rented a small studio apartment in the Arts District and spent 2 weeks sleeping, eating real food, and sitting in the sun like a plant that had been kept in a dim room and was only now remembering what light felt like. My scent cycles returned naturally within the month, warm and present and entirely my own. I had forgotten they were something to be proud of. I started freelance consulting. Small businesses, succession planning, a field I had spent 6 years subordinating to Dominique's corporate world. Without her schedule dictating mine, I was startlingly good at it. I met Nadia Osei at a small business network event 3 months after leaving. She was a beta, which meant the traditional alpha-omega charge of attraction was absent between us, replaced instead by something quieter and more interesting. She ran an architecture firm. She had laugh lines and ink stains on her left hand, and she asked me 3 follow-up questions after everything I said, as if she were genuinely building a picture of who I was. "You smell like sandalwood and something I can't identify," she said over wine, not flirtatiously but with the candid observation of someone accustomed to noticing structural details. "Omega presentation," I said, waiting for the micro-expression of recalibration that the word usually produced in professional settings. She just nodded. "I know. I just meant it's a good smell. Sorry if that was strange." "It wasn't strange," I said. "And meant it." Dominique found me 4 months later. She appeared at a public presentation I gave on Omega-owned business structures and waited until the room had cleared. "You look well," she said. "I am well," I agreed. She studied me. "I want to understand what happened between us." "You treated me like a comfortable arrangement," I said. "And I let you, because I thought love meant being whatever shape fitted the space I was given. I was wrong about that. So were you about what I needed." Something in her face shifted, not into grief exactly but into a kind of honest reckoning I hadn't seen from her before. "I didn't see you," she said. "No," I agreed. "You didn't." She left without trying to reclaim anything. That small grace, offered too late but offered genuinely, was the only thing I took from it. I walked back through the event hall and found Nadia waiting by the exit with 2 cups of coffee, entirely unbothered by the slight delay, looking at a structural diagram on her tablet with genuine absorption. She looked up when she heard my heels on the hardwood. "Everything okay?" she asked. "Completely," I said, and took the coffee she held out. She didn't ask more than that. She trusted me to tell her what I needed to tell her, in the time I needed to tell it. And that single quiet act of faith was worth more to me than 3 years of convenient arrangements had ever been. I was not the Omega who died on a kitchen floor while her Alpha discussed property acquisitions. I was someone else now. Someone who had chosen herself first, and in doing so, had finally become worth choosing. If Zara's story resonated with you, drop a comment below. Have you ever stayed somewhere too long because leaving felt ungrateful? Tell me. I read every single one. Hit that like button if this story moved you. Subscribe because the next story is already waiting, and it only gets more intense from here. I will see you in the next one.